Hello everyone and welcome back to Half Magic Tarot. Today's pick a card reading is what do people say about you behind your back? There are 4 piles to choose from, and I suggest selecting the pile based on the pile marker that sparks a memory in you. So for example, I would choose pile 4, Artemis, because, well, a lot of reasons actually. I saw a deer like in the middle of the day outside of my apartment a few months ago, which is really strange, and it was by itself, and it reminds me of the deer on this card. And also, when I was maybe 13, I had an archery class in school, and I passed out on the field that we were doing it in, and shortly thereafter learned that I was severely allergic to grass. So that is what I would choose. I will put the timestamps in the description down below. Feel free to pause the video now to select your pile, and let's get started. If you selected pile 1, Damara, welcome to your reading. Your tarot cards are the Page of Pentacles in reverse, the Hanged Man, the Queen of Swords, the Hierophant, and the King of Swords. For your archetype cards, we got Teacher and Vampire. All right, my pile 1. So what do people say about you behind your back? It's interesting. There really is kind of 2 factions here. So I'll start with these first 3 cards in your pile. We start off with this Page of Pentacles in reverse. And in this specific tarot deck, this card is depicted by basically like a servant who is protecting the Queen's treasure chest. So in reverse, this to me indicates that people find you to be unreliable. If they ask you to do something, they feel like they can't trust you with it necessarily. And also the Page of Pentacles in reverse indicates someone who maybe lacks drive or doesn't have follow through. So I think there is a person or persons who have said that behind your back. Again, this is just what people say. It doesn't necessarily mean it's true. It just could be from their perspective. There's also a thing here with the Page of Pentacles in reverse that if you were to lose out on an opportunity, for example, if you did not get the house that you wanted, or you applied for a new job and you didn't get it and you told someone, there is gossip about you not getting that thing. And with that card being next to the Hanged Man, the 2 as a combination indicates someone who lacks ambition. So I think that is something that people say about you, that maybe you are in a stagnant area in your life. You haven't accomplished much recently. You haven't really been proactive about going after the things that you want. You lack ambition. And another message that I'm getting with this Hanged Man is that you have a reputation for being very patient. So I definitely don't think that you are someone who loses your temper easily. And I think the patience is something that people admire about you and also has been said about you. In particular, you probably have a lot of patience when teaching other people things or dealing with children, dealing with people who can't necessarily do things for themselves. Now, with the card in the middle of your spread, this Queen of Swords, this really encapsulates the 2 sides of what people are saying behind your back. So like I said, there is this faction of people or a specific person who's saying that you're untrustworthy, you're not reliable, you don't have any ambition, you don't have drive. But then there's this other side that has more positive things to say about you, like you're very patient, you're a good teacher. And this is all encapsulated in this specific card, which if you look, it's someone who is like divided in half down the middle because there's these 2 sides. So it's interesting that the quote unquote negative side is facing towards these more negative cards while the positive side is facing towards these more positive cards. So on the negative side here, people, again, do find you untrustworthy. They think that you might be a little bit two-faced, or you say things to their face that are not really indicative of how you feel. So maybe they ask for your opinion or something, and you have a difficult time saying, no, I don't like it, or, telling them how it is, and you end up inadvertently maybe like hurting people's feelings that way because you are not giving them the whole truth in order to like save face. And then on the other side, this side that has beautiful flowers growing, there is this person who is very generous and giving and kind. And again, a very good teacher that's coming through so strongly, and that's your first archetype card was teacher. But the Queen of Swords makes an excellent teacher because she is very good at communication. So that might be something that people say about you, is that you're very good at explaining things to people. You're very intelligent. That's coming through super strongly here, is that people say you're very smart. And also you know the appropriate thing to say, which again is part of the reason why some people find you to be deceitful, because they feel like you're putting on an act, but they consider you to be calculated sometimes, but in actuality you're just very careful about choosing your words. And I think some people see that as you being very careful and very eloquent, and then other people see you as being having like a social farce. With both the Queen and the King of Swords here, you could be a Libra or an Aquarius or Gemini, but most strongly Libra or Aquarius here, or have a prominent air sign placement in your natal chart, so Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. But you are generally embodying the traits of an air sign, which is eloquent, forward-thinking, maybe funny, witty, smart, but not necessarily easy to read emotionally. So what else are people saying about you behind your back? Again, we'll do more of the positives. So if you are in a relationship, and in particular, if you are married, people think that you and your partner are kind of the perfect couple, because we have the Queen of Swords and the King of Swords, which is a perfect match in the tarot. And then in between them, we have the Hierophant, which can indicate marriage and divinely guided marriage. So together, this feels like people really say that you and your partner are so perfect for each other. If you are single and not in a relationship, then this is people saying that you really embody both masculine and feminine traits. So maybe you are very good, like you're very good at taking care of things yourself. You're very protective, but you also have a very approachable quality. I just heard the phrase mama bear. So like literal bears in the wild, they're very playful with their cubs. They take care of their cubs, but if someone were to come near them, they would like go crazy. So I think that's kind of how you are, where they see you as having these two sides, where you are really loving and gentle with the people and things that you care about, but also you're very protective of that peace that you have. And with the Hierophant also here, people could say that you are religious or spiritual. They are also saying that you have very strong ideals or ideologies. So if you have political opinions, you are very strong political opinions, but with you coming out as the Queen and King of Swords here, people are also saying that you have the facts to back it up. So you are not talking out of your ass. You know what you're saying, you know what you're talking about, and you can defend your point of view in any argument that comes along, and people really admire that. So if you're like in school, people might say that you're a very good debater. You're very good at writing essays where it's a kind of like an opinion, persuasive essays. And finally, again, with the King of Swords here, this is just another reiteration that people really do talk about how smart you are, how intelligent. There is a hawk on this card, which is representative of like mental fortitude. So again, someone who has very strong ideals, who knows what they want, who knows what they're trying to say, and is very good at communicating that. Very intelligent, very witty, and very good at planning or seeing ahead. So you're playing like chess, not checkers, is what someone has probably said about you. Now, if you look at this person also has a snake wrapped around their sword, and the sword represents communication and truth. So with the snake wrapped around it, there is a sense of duality, or being able to use your words very persuasively. And so again, you might make like an excellent teacher, an excellent politician, an excellent public speaker, an excellent writer, anything like that. So if that is your career field, I think people are talking about how talented you are in that area. But again, I feel like with the negative cards at the beginning here, it just feels like two different personality types interpreting you. So some people see you as just very intelligent and very quick-witted and forthright and stubborn and very much attentive to what they want and what they believe is right, while the other side of this might see you as someone who doesn't budge, or someone who doesn't really have time for other people, or doesn't entertain other people, or they see you as being kind of like deceitful, or a little bit of a like salesperson, or only out for your own self-interest. The pile marker that you selected says, Damara, guiding children. You are good at helping, counseling, and healing children. Use your skills to help children now. So again, for a lot of you, I think you would make like a really excellent teacher for children, because you have this duality where you are very intelligent and you know how to communicate very firmly. You know how to like lay out the law, so to speak, but also you have enough empathy and you have enough gentleness to be able to speak to children or younger people in a way that makes them feel like you are a safe person to come to if they have questions or concerns or anything like that. Also, if you have children, people say that they think you are a good parent. If you don't have children, people might say that they think you would make a good parent. Your first archetype card is Teacher, which says ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, or wisdom. So again, with the two swords cards, these two air sign cards, it's all about communication. So excellent communicator. People say that about you. You're very good at explaining yourself, and you come across as someone who does not just say things because you come across as someone who has gathered the evidence. So time you express an opinion, people feel like you have a reason for why you believe that, and you have the ability to back it up. The second archetype card is Vampire, which says depleting others for your psychic survival and draining life force. So I think that people see you as, again, your haters, the people who are kind of saying these negative things about you behind your back. I think that they see you as someone who cannot be relied upon. You can't get a vampire to come out during the day. They're sneaky, they're hiding behind corners, they're in the dark, they're hard to read, and they end up using other people, human beings, for their own benefit to sustain themselves. So I think that there are people who see you that way, where they feel like you don't have the ambition to do the things that you need for yourself, and you just use the resources that other people have given you or worked on. I just heard someone say you take credit for things that you didn't do. So this feels like a very specific person who just does not really care for you. And again, may or may not be accurate to what the situation is, but this is just what people are saying behind your back. So that is it for your reading, my pile ones. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I put out a new video once a week. Thank you. Take care. If you selected pile 2, Guinevere, welcome to your reading. Your tarot cards are the Two of Pentacles, the Knight of Wands, the Seven of Swords, the Magician, and the Devil. For your archetype cards, we got Guide and Don Juan. All right, my pile two. So this is my sexy pile. What do people say about you behind your back? We're starting off with this Two of Pentacles. And so people think that you are really balanced. A lot of people admire your ability to find the romance in everyday life. Actually, as I was looking at this, I heard the Kali Uchis effect, which is Kali Uchis is a singer. She just put out an album earlier this year called Red Moon and Venus, and it's this very like sensual Venusian album, very beautiful, very lovely. But people were posting videos online of themselves before and after they started listening to her music, and it would be like a glow up. And it's just basically the effect of tapping into this really feminine, sensual energy. And so I think people talk about how you have that, how you carry yourself with that, and how you kind of implement that in your day-to-day life. So there's a lot of discussion about the way that you present yourself, the way that you dress, if you wear makeup, the way you wear your makeup, your jewelry, how you smell, what you do in the day-to-day. You're just very sensual, and people are very interested in the way that you are like aesthetically and sensually curating yourself. And that it surprises them sometimes when they first meet you, because a lot of times if you see someone who is, put together in that kind of way, you can assume that they might be lacking in other departments, or they don't care about more practical stuff, or they're like vain. But I think a lot of people find that you have a very good balance where you seem to be enjoying your life and finding the beauty in everyday life and expressing yourself creatively, aesthetically, while also being very pragmatic and responsible, and, maybe having a stable job, or being someone who has a lot of ambition. And I think that most people admire that, and some people are a little jealous of that, because I think you give outsiders the perspective. They're like, how does this person manage to be so put together and seem like they're having so much fun and also have all of this other stuff done? Like, people want to know how you manage to juggle all of these different aspects of your life. And with the Knight of Wands as the next card in your spread, as I said, this is my sexy pile. The Knight of Wands is the sexiest knight in the tarot. So definitely people talk about how physically attractive you are. There are a lot of people who are attracted to you, who find you to be very beautiful or handsome or whatever. And the Knight of Wands is also someone who can be like the life of the party. People are very magnetically drawn to them. People want to follow them. People want to hang out with them. Like, I feel like if you go out to like a bar or a club, people notice you. If you're like a woman and there are other women there, people want to like be your friend. People also want to get to know you more. People want to see if you're single. But you are considered like a fun person to be around and pretty adventurous. You always seem like you have something new going on, and people really admire that about you. With the Knight of Wands also here, you could be a fire sign or have a prominent fire sign placement in your natal chart. So that would be Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. Now, not everyone has positive things to say. So in the middle of your spread here, we have this Seven of Swords. And the Seven of Swords is a card that is about deception and betrayal. And in particular on this card, this person seems to have betrayed like a former lover. She's staring into the mirror. She's a little vain. So some people might say that they think that you are vain, that you're self-obsessed, you're self-absorbed. And also there might be rumors that you have done a former romantic partner wrong, whether that means that you cheated on them or they just said that you go through like romantic partners really easily, which some people find not agreeable. Again, this is just what people are saying. It's not necessarily true. But there is this feeling here that you see your romantic or sexual partners as disposable because you put yourself first. And I don't think putting yourself first is a bad thing, but some people might feel that way. Now, with the Magician next to this, normally I would say the Magician is more of a positive card, but I think in this spread between the Seven of Swords and the Devil here, this has the feeling of someone being a trickster. So people see you as someone who plays with feelings. Again, this is what your haters are saying, and in particular, romantic partners' feelings. Now, the other people who really like you see you as someone who's just very good at manifesting and getting what you want. And probably it's easy to get what you want if you are really beautiful and fun and interesting to be around. People tend to like want to give you things and help you out. And you also have this pragmatic side. You have this sense of balance that's indicated by the Two of Pentacles. So people see you as being really good at making your dreams come true, getting what you want, manifestation. And finally, with the Devil here at the end of your spread, again, your haters are saying that you are manipulative. You are you view people as disposable, particularly romantic partners. So this all could be coming from someone that maybe you dumped or you cut off or you no longer talk to, and they feel like blindsided by it, or maybe you moved on kind of quickly. And so this is what this person is saying about you. Also with the Devil here, clearly this is a very sexual, sensual card. So there is a lot of rumors about you being like a very sexual person, and that could be taken negatively or positively. So I think for some people they might say some derogatory things that are said about people who are maybe sexually promiscuous, whether or not you are. However, other people might say that you have a reputation for being very good in bed, or you have a reputation for, you know, a lot of people wanting to go to bed with you. And also you have a hold over the people that have slept with you or dated you in general. People tend to become very obsessive about you, and they don't want to leave you alone. So again, you have this very intoxicating quality that really draws people to you, that some people find a little bit threatening and other people find very envy-inducing. And the pile marker that you selected, Guinevere, says, true love, the romantic stirrings in your heart have propelled the universe to deliver great love to you. So this really coincides with everything. Again, Guinevere, it's all about love. It's all about romance. It's all about passion. And I think you have a lot of that in your life, or you are at least talked about as having a lot of that in your life. So people might say you have a lot of different romantic partners. You have a lot of different romantic interests. But also, even if you, in actuality, don't really have that many romantic prospects, you are someone who cultivates an air of romance in your life. So you are a very sensual person. You're interested in making your life very beautiful. You're interested in presenting yourself in a very beautiful way. You're very intentional with what you indulge in, and it's very important to you to find the romance in your everyday life. So you could, in addition to being like a fire sign here, you could also be a Venus ruled sign, so Taurus or Libra, or have a prominent Taurus or Libra placement in your natal chart. And with your first archetype card being guide here, this says represents the nature of the divine in life and in yourself. So again, you are really taking the time to find the beauty in nature and in the world, and in love and romance and cultivating that in your life. And people are really envious of that. They really admire your ability to carve out this path for yourself or make your life beautiful. And I think that's something that people, when they're talking about you, they say quite frequently. Now, your second archetype card is Don Juan, which says your seductive qualities and sometimes using the power of romantic attraction for private agendas. So again, some people are saying that you are using your magnetic pull, all of your charisma and your beauty and your sensuality to attract people for your own means, for your own ends. And other people are just saying, you're very sexy, everyone's attracted to you. So this is like a sexy pile. Yeah, I like this. Thank you for watching my pile twos. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I put out a new video once a week. Thank you. Take care. If you selected pile 3, Abundancia, welcome to your reading. Your tarot cards are the King of Pentacles, the High Priestess, the Moon, the Two of Swords, and the Hermit. For your archetype cards, we got Poet and Hero/Heroine. All right, my pile 3s. So what are people saying about you behind your back? We start off your spread with this King of Pentacles. And immediately what I'm getting is that a lot of people perceive you as being wealthy, or they talk about you being wealthy. And again, this is just how people perceive you, so it might not be the case. But either way, they think that you are putting off the vibe that you have money or come from money. Maybe you just put yourself together really well and you don't actually have money, or maybe you just invest in nice clothing, or you save up so you can go do something really nice instead of just doing a bunch of little things that are maybe inexpensive. You're definitely like a quality over quantity type of person, and people really see that about you. Another thing about the King of Pentacles is that this person is very hardworking. So I think a lot of people do talk about how they see you as someone who has a lot of drive to achieve your goals. And in particular, you're very good at planning out things. So at work, for example, if you are given a task, you're very good at finding the best way, the most efficient way to get it done, and you do it well. People don't really have complaints about your work ethic at all. I'm also getting that you are seen as a very wise person. You might have been told a lot growing up, or heard a lot growing up, or even now, that you seem wise beyond your years, or that you were like an adult in a child's body, because you have this kind of mental and emotional maturity and perspective that is maybe unusual for someone your age to have. It's not something that a lot of your peers have, so I think that is something that people talk about and they perceive and they see in you. And actually, in every single one of these cards that I pulled for your spread, there is this huge emphasis on duality. If you look at the King of Pentacles, there's 2 elephants mirroring each other. The High Priestess, it is the second card. It's number 2 in the Major Arcana. This goddess has both of her hands up mirroring each other. The Moon, 2 horses in the back mirroring each other. The Two of Swords, another 2 card, and there's 2 people shaking hands. There's 2 swords mirroring each other. And on the Hermit, there's 2 dogs sitting next to each other. So there's such a big emphasis on you having this dual persona. And that persona is that you tend to have an innate understanding of how other people are feeling. You're very good at reading human behavior and human emotions, and so a lot of people feel very comfortable coming up and talking to you, but you yourself are kind of mysterious. So you might even, divulge some things about yourself. I think you are very good at giving the illusion of being an open book while also being mysterious. And I think that's something that people talk about, where they feel like, I know all of these random things about this person, but I don't feel like I really know them. But I feel like they can just see through other people. Like they know exactly what's going on with other people the minute that they meet them. And that's kind of discussed here in this High Priestess card that came out, which is a card about intuition and inner knowing. And so I think that this is definitely my intuitive pile. You could have some kind of psychic or clairvoyant, claircognizant abilities. You could yourself be a tarot reader or interested in spirituality and divination in some kind of way. But you have a lot of gut feelings, particularly when it comes to the people around you. And so, again, you read people really well. I think maybe you've had a conversation with someone in the past where maybe it was like your friend and you met someone together and immediately you feel like there's something off about this person and your friend doesn't see it right away. But then later on they realize that you're right and there was something off about that person. And then that was discussed, that you just have such a good radar on reading people immediately. You can just feel it like in the energy. And I think a lot of people find that to be really interesting, but I think it also does make people nervous because they feel like they can't hide from you. There's no way to shield themselves. They're very vulnerable around you because you can feel like any shift in emotion, and with the moon here in the very middle of your spread, this is things that are concealed. So again, you have a definite air of mystery about you. I think people really enjoy trying to figure you out, trying to understand you. And I don't know that people are that successful at it, but it is a topic of conversation where I feel like if two people are talking about you and one of them says, oh, well, they told me this, then the other person is like surprised. Like I feel like people get little bits and pieces of you and they have to kind of put it together and form a full picture in their mind. But again, you are very hard to read. You're a little aloof. People say that a lot, but not unwelcoming. People do find you comforting because, again, all of this is about duality, and especially with the moon here, the moon's light reveals what was dark, what was hidden. And I think that your empathy, your intuition gets people to open up in a way that they wouldn't normally for other people. And so you have this very revealing quality about you. But on the other hand, the moon is, typically shrouded in darkness. It's only gonna show up at night. And it goes through phases. Sometimes you can't see it at all on a new moon. So there's this other side where it's definitely like, I know that you're there. Maybe I can see the outline of you. Maybe I can see part of you, but I only can get the full version of this person sometimes. And that is definitely a topic of conversation. Also with the High Priestess and the moon card here, a lot of you could be Cancers or have prominent Cancer placements in your natal chart, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, because the High Priestess is a card that is representative of the moon, ruler of Cancer, and the moon, again, ruler of Cancer. So we move on to the Two of Swords. And the Two of Swords is a card that is about indecision, but in this particular card, this is a goddess of integrity. So people see you as being very truthful, very trustworthy, especially with this King of Pentacles showing up, because this is a very stable figure. This is a very responsible figure. So people do talk about how they feel like you are very reliable. And instead of indecision, I'm getting more that this is a lack of compulsive action. So you are not someone who will automatically make a decision. You like to weigh both sides. And again, there's so much about having two sides here in this particular spread. So I think that you are someone who has a really good balance between your head and your heart. And you try to listen to both when you make decisions. And other people recognize that about you. And they respect that. And that's something that they do talk about. Finally, at the end here, we have the Hermit. So people kind of do see you as a loner because you are hard to read. Maybe people don't know who your close friends are or what you do in your free time. And so in their imagination, it's like, oh, they're probably at home by themselves reading or, doing whatever it is that they do by themselves. But you're definitely a mystery to them. You could be very good with animals. People might mention that, particularly dogs, like the ones on this card. But the Hermit is someone who is not afraid of being alone. So people never see you as being lonely. They don't talk about you as being lonely. They see you as someone who enjoys your independence. And you do come across as a very independent person, but also one who is available when you're needed. So independent but reliable, empathetic but secretive. You have all of these, different traits that people say about you, but overall I would say a lot of people really respect you and your privacy, and you are a mystery that they would like to unravel. I just saw like someone pulling on a ribbon on a gift, and the ribbon coming off, and then they get to open up the gift. So I do think that there are some people who would like to get to know you better in your life. And maybe you don't recognize this, but they would like to get to understand the mystery of you more. So the pile marker that you selected was Abundantia, which says prosperity. The universe is pouring its abundance out to you. Be open to receiving. And this to me really goes with that King of Pentacles, which is a card of someone who is abundant. So again, I think people see you as someone who is wealthy, or at least present yourself as being wealthy, very well put together. You seem like you come from a financially prosperous, well-educated, well-mannered background. And so that is how people are perceiving you. And we have two archetype cards here, Poet and Hero. And I feel like this really just goes back into the duality thing, because on one side, the poet, this is someone who expresses soul insights in symbolic language. So this is someone who can communicate ideas and feelings without needing, practical words. They can convey things in a very imaginative way. And that really goes hand in hand with the High Priestess to me, which is a very poetic card. So you actually could be a poet. You could write poetry, and maybe people talk about that. But generally people see you as having a very flowery way of speaking, or sometimes they're like, is this person speaking in riddles? Like you have a very unique grasp of language that's entertaining to people. It's like you say things in a way that other people would not necessarily say them. And so I think sometimes people pick up on like the weird phrases that you have. It reminds me a lot of, I read this article about how a lot of the times little kids are the best poets because they haven't really learned the ways that we use words or the construction of language yet. So they will say things in a very creative way, or they will use adjectives as nouns, or, they will use nouns as verbs. They have a very creative way of speaking that is also very illustrative. The second archetype card here is hero/heroine, and it says passion for a journey or personal empowerment. So people see you as these two sides. On one hand, you're almost like this hippy-dippy, artsy person who is writing poetry and staring at the moon and having, all of these very deep spiritual thoughts. And then on the other hand, you're a hero, which is someone who is very accomplished, who goes after their goals, and that's really coming through in this King of Pentacles, which is someone who is ambitious, who is a boss, someone who gets everything done and is very stable in their career and in their finances. And it's also coming through in this Two of Swords, which, again, as I said, is someone who has foresight and the ability to make really calculated decisions that are the best for everyone involved, especially in business matters and in other areas of your life that would affect people beside yourself. So people see you as being someone who is very ambitious, very hardworking, and also someone who knows that there is more to life than being hardworking and ambitious. And people talk about that and they really admire you for it. But again, it feels more like this is how people perceive you than what they're saying about you, because there's not much to be said about you because you do come across as very mysterious. I don't know that there's that many people talking about you behind your back except to say, I wish I knew this person better, or they're really interesting or mysterious. And that's about it. So thank you, my pile threes. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I put out a new video once a week. Thank you. Take care. If you chose pile 4, Artemis, welcome to your reading. Your tarot cards are Justice, the 8 of Wands, the Chariot, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Ace of Swords. For your archetype cards, we got Father and Bully. Okay, my pile 4s. So what are people saying about you behind your back? The first card in the spread is Justice, which is a card about balancing the scales. But I think in this particular instance, this is people saying that you have a pretty regimented idea of how you should be conducting yourself or how other people should be conducting themselves. So you have a very strong moral code. And the thing that I'm getting more than anything with this pile is that people are talking about how mean you are to yourself. And so people feel like you hold yourself to really high standards and you feel like you have to meet them, but there's not necessarily anyone else holding you to these standards. You just feel like you have to be at the same level of what your standards are, or you are not good enough. There's another side to this, in that Justice is the Libra card. Libra is a Venus-ruled sign. Obviously, Venus is the planet of love and affection and things like that. And so I feel like people have noticed that you really tie your self-worth in your ability to achieve maybe these goals that you have set for yourself. But also there is talk that these goals are maybe unrealistic, or you're constantly kind of pushing the goalpost higher. So maybe you're like, I just really want to get a promotion. And then you get the promotion, you're like, well, I need to do this now. It's very hard for you to just be satisfied where you are. I think it's almost like you feel like you constantly have to be improving yourself or besting yourself, proving yourself to be better than you were in order to still be like worthy or good at what you do in your eyes and in the eyes of other people, in your opinion. So overall, and so people are saying you hold yourself to a really high standard, you're very self-critical, and also you really tie your level of self-worth and how you feel about yourself to how well you are measuring up to these goals that you're constantly, bumping up or moving slightly out of reach. So, and I understand that. I said that this was the pile that I would choose, and I can't say that I'm too happy to be divulging all of this information. The second card here is this Eight of Wands. And to me, in this pile, this is about you being a busybody. So you are someone who constantly seems like they have something going on. You're not very good at sitting still, which is, again, something that people talk about and something that people notice. You're not very good at just accomplishing something and taking a step back. You're always looking for the next thing to move towards. And I think that's because it's difficult for you to slow down and occupy your time with other things. I get this sense that for the people in this pile, if you were to stop your routine or you were to stop, occupying your time trying to do X, Y, and Z, you would end up having way too much time on your hands to go insane, basically. Just feel like you are very good at avoiding thinking about your feelings when you're throwing yourself into completing task. But people have noticed that you do that. And with the Chariot here in the middle of the spread, this is really the encapsulation of all of that to me. So you could be a Cancer or have a prominent Cancer placement in your natal chart, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. But the Chariot here is the card of Cancer, and Cancers are represented by crabs, right? Because they have kind of hard outer shells, but they're very soft and mushy inside. And Cancers are cardinal signs. They can be very bossy, but they also have a reputation for being like the most sensitive sign in the zodiac. So with the Chariot here, this is someone who has basically put on armor to achieve their goals. And they're still this very sensitive person underneath, but they've become better at concealing it and kind of presenting themselves as this infallible warrior in order to get things done. Like I said, I feel like this person perfectly encapsulates what people are saying, how people are perceiving you, which is that you are a very victorious person. All of these things that you put your mind to, all of these goals that you have, you do achieve. You're constantly raising the bar for yourself because you're constantly pushing yourself to do better and be better and grow more and accomplish more. And you keep doing it. You keep meeting those goals, but there's no end in sight because of that. And also, it is a little bit of a distraction from feeling like you are maybe not worthy of something, whether that be praise or, like a specific thing. But you feel like you have to improve yourself. There's a little bit of a sense of like imposter syndrome here. So maybe you feel like you've ended up in a situation where you receive something, but you feel not confident in your deservingness of that something that you received. And so you're constantly trying to prove that this person didn't make a mistake. Okay, I just heard for some of you, this applies to like relationship. So you might be in a romantic relationship where the person started dating you and you're kind of like confused about why they're dating you. You feel like you're not good enough or you're not worthy enough in some way, and so you're constantly trying really hard to be perfect, quote unquote perfect. And I think other people notice that about you because it's something that people notice is that they feel like you don't feel like you are worthy as you are. And so that is a conversation that people have because you're very excellent at everything you do and everything that you achieve. You never do anything like half-assed. So you got all of these accomplishments. I mean, the Chariot is also a card about victory, but you're not filling up that emotional void or that feeling of not being good enough by doing all of these things. And people are talking about it. Oh no. And this next card here is the Wheel of Fortune, which is a card about being very lucky, receiving high praise, people seeing you as a very accomplished person. So again, you're very good at what you do. You probably are receiving praise. You're receiving awards. You're receiving, things in return for the things you've accomplished. So, for example, at work, maybe you get a raise, maybe you get a bonus, maybe you get a lot of praise from the people that you work with. If you're in a relationship, maybe your partner tells you how much they like you. If you're, just doing a hobby, maybe people online say that you're really good at it or they really like it. But I don't know that it means anything to you. With the Wheel of Fortune, there's also this added implication that, you can reach the top of the wheel, but it's almost like a 15 minutes of fame situation. Like you're going to have to flip back over to get back to the top. And I think that's how you feel, is that once you get to the top of something, once you receive praise, once you receive XYZ, you're thinking, okay, it can only go down from here. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop. You are the type of person who would get sad at a party. Yeah. And then the final card here is this Ace of Swords. This is an interesting card because if you look at the imagery on this card, this is a goddess of war. And I actually read the description of this card because I wanted to know more about who this goddess was, and it said something along the lines of, I don't show fear. And again, I think this goes hand in hand with the Chariot of putting on this hard external shell in order to hide the sensitivity underneath. And it's also a card, it's a first card in the Suit of Swords. So this is almost like a mental refresh. So it comes immediately after the Wheel of Fortune, immediately after the Chariot and the Wheel of Fortune. So it's like you have these successes and then immediately you're back to square one mentally. You're thinking, all right, what do I have to do next? I can't sit here and be vulnerable. I cannot allow myself to slip. I can't let anyone catch me slipping. And people notice this about you, and I think people wish that you weren't so hard on yourself. And with your pile marker being Artemis, this says, Guardian, you and your loved ones are safe and spiritually protected. And I think the reason why you got this is because Artemis is someone who started carrying around this bow and arrow when she was a child. But it's not something that she uses to hurt other people, really. It's more just like this reminder of strength or the feeling of protectedness. And I think that you are treating your accomplishments in the same way as this bow and arrow, where it's almost just a talisman of, protection. It's this barrier that you have put around yourself to protect yourself from feeling vulnerable or feeling like you are giving other people an opportunity to say that you are not doing enough or you're not good enough. But again, at the bottom here, it says you are safe and spiritually protected. So you have to be able to feel safe with where you are now and everything that you've accomplished, and not feel like you have to continuously prove yourself, or you're, like, if I don't do this one thing, then everyone's going to lose respect for me, or people are going to stop liking me, or whatever. So I think that's really a reminder for you, because I think people notice this about you, that you have this very rude way of talking to yourself, and you feel like people's opinions of you are very conditional on what you are doing, like, right then. So your first archetype card is Father, which says talent for creating and supporting life, positive guiding light within a tribal unit, but then also dictatorial control and abuse of authority. So this is a two-sided thing, right? On one hand, you are very responsible. People find you to be very reliable. You're always setting a high standard for yourself and achieving it. You're always pushing to be better, to be more responsible, to be more available for other people. But at the same time, all of this responsibility you've kind of put on yourself. I don't know that anyone else is expecting you to do all of these things. And you're also the person who is the most cruel to yourself. It's like you've implemented the rules and then you're mad at yourself for not maybe following them perfectly or quickly enough or efficiently enough or whatever it is. And so people will talk about that, how you can be so mean to yourself. Your second archetype card is Bully, which says helps you confront the inner fears that bully you. So to me, this is not about you being a bully. I don't really see this pile. I don't see people in this pile saying that the person watching this is a bully. It's more like you are a bully to yourself. You talk so negatively to yourself. That's honestly crazy that's what this whole reading is. That's what people are saying, is that you are so self-critical. And they don't really understand why, because in their mind you're very accomplished and intelligent, and you have all of these amazing things going for you, but they feel like you don't see that in yourself. And you probably don't. So that is it, my pile fours. Let's be a little gentle to ourselves. Let's not let's think of something that I try to do. I can't say that I'm always successful at it. Is that when I have really negative self-thoughts, sometimes I like to imagine myself as the child version of me, because it's very hard to be mean to a child. You don't want to, I would never say that to like the child version of myself, or I would never say the things that I say to myself to a friend. But again, easier said than done, but it might be worth it to try to practice that the next time you feel yourself being very self-critical. Say, what would I say if someone said this to like my friend? You know what I mean? So again, take it in stride, my pile fours. You're fine. People are not going to flip on you overnight if you take some time for yourself. And that is it for your reading. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I put out a new video once a week. Thank you. Take care.